Margaret?
Yeah, Margaret, my name's Aaron, and you're the mayor's assistant, is that right?
Yes, I am, Aaron. You're cutting out just a bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm cell phone here. But,
I understand.
Margaret, I had a question. I was trying to figure out at Kitty Piercy's, annual address speech of who chose the songs that Davisi was singing.
Mayor did?
Kitty Piercy did?
Yes.
Okay. It was just I thought it.
Can I just finish here? I arranged for that entertainment, and we were given a selection of songs that they were prepared to sing. You know, they're all students, so they don't rehearse all their songs at all the times, and so they had been working on those a selection of songs, and those two songs were included, and I presented them to the mayor, and she chose them.
Okay. Now, why I was questioning this is because the John Lennon song, to me, is it's pretty disturbing, I think, for many people when you actually listen to the words of what it's calling for and wanting us to imagine. It's something. It's really different from I think the general viewpoint of most people in the world.
Well, I'm sorry, Aaron, if it disturbed you. I know it's an iconic song, and it's sung in churches, I know, and some temples across this country. I know that. I'm aware of that. So I'm sorry if it disturbed you. I really am.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I've been looking into John Lennon and what, you know, I'm pretty young, so I wasn't around then. I don't understand it all. And now what history's starting to show, I mean, it was a, I believe what I'm seeing, it was kind of a communist movement in the 60s. And,
well, let me just tell you something, and this is just me speaking to you as one person to another, not as representing the mayor or the city of Eugene. I'm a child of the 60s.
Okay.
And I am now 61.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian woman. The 60s were a fantastic time, created a lot of good things, and created a lot of trouble in its wake. But as a Christian person, I love that song. And I never, ever considered the Beatles communists at all, or part of a communist movement at all.
Yeah, it's really weird. Most
it was never anything, and I can't name a single friend I have from that time, and I have a lot of close friends from that time still now in our 60s that ever thought that.
Yeah, that's what's so strange is no one really did, because I think no one actually knew what communism was, what the Soviet Union...
Oh, please, Aaron, you need to study the 50s then. And you need to study how I went to school, and those of us of this age that went to school. We went through drills in the schools, where the city of Eugene would do air raid drills, and then we also practiced in our schools to get underneath our desks and cover our heads because the communists were going to bomb us.
Yeah.
The communists were Russia. And we remember that.
Yeah.
We knew it was real. We knew it was not. It was also used as a tool by some people in this country to scare us even more. But we knew what communism was. We saw on television the night that Nikita Khrushchev pounded his shoe on his desk at the United Nations. We were well aware of what communism was.
Yeah, it said he would demolish us.
The people in our generation rejoiced when the Berlin Wall fell. I mean, we were rejoicing that this is proving that that system of government no longer works, and it never worked in the first place.
Yes, that is true.
So I urge you to continue your search and continue your research, but I also urge you, don't rely on just one or two sources for your historical research. Go everywhere. Get a lot of points of view, and then you can make up your own point of view. That's the way I encouraged all my children to do. Don't just get your news and your information from one source, and as my grandmother told me, if you're reading a newspaper, you're reading a magazine, or you're reading a book, not only find out who wrote it, find out who published it.
You're exactly
know where
right.
your information comes from and get it from many sources. If a person has just one particular axe to grind, even if it's against something that you don't feel good about, find out why they're grinding that axe.
All right, Margaret, I'll tell you why it does disturb me. My wife is a former Soviet Union citizen, and so that's why it hits me at home.
I can understand that. Boy, bless her heart that she's not there anymore. And I have friends that are Russians that are living here now.
Yeah.
And they're good friends, and I understand that. I totally understand that. I really do. I also know that the fear of communism was used by a tool of people in this country to promote their own agenda. That wasn't necessarily healthy for our good democracy either. So you always got to search out the truth. And I understand that your wife must be thrilled to be out from underneath that rule that perhaps her parents and grandparents lived under.
Oh yeah, exactly. And you know,
it's a new awakening. It's a new awakening for people, and democracy is rough. Democracy is hard. And democracy requires a lot more work than communism ever did, because everybody in the country has to work for democracy, not just the top level.
You bet, and that's why what I'm trying to do is, you know, make people realize, and so that, you know, the Russians were intelligent people, and it happened to them. Communism happened to them.
It happened to them, but they did not have a history in their country. When communism came roaring in the revolution, it came roaring in because those people had been downtrodden and had no free country before it. There were pogroms and millions of people were killed in those pogroms. They had nothing they didn't know democracy, they didn't know anything. They were oppressed people. Wherever you have people that are oppressed and don't have free speech, that's fertile ground for dictatorships to take over. And communism is nothing but another form of dictatorship.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, the average capitalist Russian loved the Tsar's days, and so it's kind of untrue that they didn't have freedom at that time. It was a lot better than communism.
I will tell you that there's a lot of my Jewish relatives that would disagree. They were killed by the thousands.
In the Tsar's days.
Yes.
The Jews.
That's exactly right. They were killed by the thousands.
And they were even killed by the millions under the communist rule.
Oh, well, they were killed by the millions under the Nazis, and maybe not quite so many millions under the communists. Yes, you're exactly right.
So, I mean, that's
people study your Russian history, and there were many, many, many hundreds of thousands of people that suffered greatly under the Tsar's rule, because he was a dictator as well. All of them were. They never had a democracy like we have in this country, because we're like the first. We're the first country in the world to do what we're doing.
You're right.
We're still babies compared to all the ancient countries in the world. We're still babies. We're still going through a growing pain.
You're right. You're right.
We still have our baby teeth, and still we stand, and still we get better.
You're right.
We survived a bloody civil war that killed more people than the Vietnam War.
Yep.
You know, so it's a lot of hard work to be a citizen of a democratic country. And I didn't mean to give you a lecture.
No, it's great. I mean...
because that was not Mayor Piercy speaking. You understand that. That was just me, the city worker. A citizen of Eugene.
You just wiped them off.
All right.
I wish you well in your seeking of the truth. I do.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to do. I think most people out there today, they don't realize, you know, what the Red Scare really was and what the Soviet Union was about, and, you know, the...
Well, you know, I urge you to seek people that do, because there's plenty of us here that know exactly what it was about and exactly how scary it was.
Yeah, it's not just about scary. I understand in the 50s and 60s
No,
that...
it was very scary to think that you know, you don't want that kind of government. It's
Well,
not helpful to you.
yeah, but, you know, like my wife being in the pioneers in Soviet Union, and, I mean, pretty much the ideology was identical to, say, what John Lennon speaks of, as, you know, the world was to be one under Soviet control and under a socialist...
Well, I'm feel that he was pro-Soviet Union, but he chose to live in this country because he valued it. This is a country where he was...
Well, yeah, I kind of listen to his music, and I see a different view of it, I guess. I guess there's two ways to look at it, but... Dang it, cut out. It cut out.